In a world where every move of America's first families is scrutinized, one story has remained curiously quiet. Long before the glitz of the White House and the iconic photos beside Donald Trump, there was a young woman from Slovenia, carrying dreams much bigger than her small European hometown. But how did Melania Trump, once an unknown model, rise through America's toughest immigration system and obtain one of the most exclusive visas in the country, the so-called Einstein Visa? What secrets lie behind her journey to U.S. citizenship? Tonight we uncover the facts, the controversies, and the mysteries surrounding Melania Trump's immigration story. Melania Knaus was born in 1970 in Novo Mesto, a small town in what was then Yugoslavia, now Slovenia. Her father sold car parts. Her mother worked in a textile factory. They weren't poor, but they weren't rich either. From a young age, Melania was drawn to fashion. By her teens, she was modeling locally, tall, poised, and determined to see a world beyond her borders. In the 1990s, when Eastern Europe was opening up to the West, modeling agencies became gateways to new lives. Melania's journey took her to Milan and Paris, and eventually to New York City. It was there in 1996 that her American story truly began. Melania arrived in the United States on a work visa for models. At the time, she was in her mid-20s, still hustling for magazine shoots and fashion campaigns. New York's modeling scene was competitive and, at times, chaotic. Reports from the Associated Press and the Washington Post later claimed that in her early days, Melania may have done some modeling work before her visa was fully active, a technical violation that has sparked years of quiet speculation. Her lawyer and her husband, Donald Trump, have always denied any wrongdoing. But even a hint of visa irregularity would contrast sharply with her husband's later hardline stance on immigration. Fast forward to 2001. Melania had lived in the U.S. for 5 years. That year, she received an EB-1 visa, an immigration path reserved for people with extraordinary ability. The EB-1 visa is sometimes called the Einstein Visa because it's designed for individuals who have reached the top of their fields. Nobel laureates, Olympic athletes, world-class researchers, or artists of global distinction. So naturally, people wondered, how did a fashion model, not yet a household name, qualify for such an elite category? When the Washington Post and CNN began digging into Melania's visa in 2018, the questions grew louder. Immigration experts noted that EB-1 approvals for models are rare, not impossible, but unusual. To qualify, applicants must show major international recognition, extensive media coverage, and proof that their work has influenced their industry. Supporters argue that Melania, by 2001, had modeled for major designers and magazines and had built a reputation in New York's fashion world. Her lawyer, Michael Wilds, confirmed that she was more than amply qualified and that her application followed the law completely, but critics point out that there are few public records of major modeling awards or international campaigns under her name before she met Donald Trump. This gap has fueled speculation that connections or influence might have played a role, a claim the Trump family firmly rejects. In 1998, at a Fashion Week party in Manhattan, Melania met Donald Trump, already a real estate tycoon and TV personality. Their relationship began under the glare of tabloids, but grew into a genuine bond. By 2001, the same year she received her EB-1 visa, Melania was living in New York with Donald. They married in 2005 in a lavish ceremony attended by celebrities, politicians, and business elites. The following year, Melania gave birth to their son, Baron. In 2006, she officially became a U.S. citizen, completing a journey from small-town Slovenia to the pinnacle of American life. It was a dream story, the immigrant who reached the White House. But questions about how she got there never fully faded. Years later, when Donald Trump ran for president in 2016, immigration became one of his defining campaign issues. He vowed to crack down on illegal immigration, tighten visa programs, and put America first. Suddenly, Melania's past, once seen as an inspiring immigrant success story, became a political target. Reporters revisited her old visa documents. Critics asked, how can the First Lady's immigration story remain so secretive when her husband demands transparency and toughness from everyone else? Even the Trump campaign struggled to answer some details. When asked directly about her visa process, Melania's team declined to release documentation, citing privacy. The silence, for some, was telling. In interviews, Melania has consistently said she followed the law to the letter. She once told Harper's Bazaar and MSNBC that she never overstayed a visa and always did things the right way. Her lawyer echoed that her paperwork was meticulous, describing the process as long, difficult, and entirely proper. And legally, there's no public evidence that Melania ever violated U.S. immigration laws. Still, the lack of transparency, no released forms, no official documentation, has left an air of mystery that lingers to this day. In 2018, another controversy erupted, this time not about Melania's visa, but about her parents. Her mother and father, Amalia and Victor Canavs, were granted U.S. citizenship. How did they qualify? Through a process known as family reunification, the same system President Trump derided as chain migration. Critics called it hypocrisy. Supporters argued it was simply family loyalty. In truth, it revealed the complex contradiction at the heart of American immigration, the tension between merit-based systems and the human desire to keep families together. To understand Melania Trump, one must look beyond the headlines. She is fluent in several languages, known for her reserved personality, and protective of her privacy, traits that set her apart from the public personas around her. As First Lady, she focused on initiatives like Be Best, advocating for children's well-being and online safety. Yet her mysterious background often overshadowed her causes. Reporters continued to request immigration documents. None were released. And so, the story of how Melania truly earned her Einstein Visa remains more legend than record. Immigration experts say Melania's case highlights a broader truth. The U.S. immigration system can be both rigid and flexible, depending on one's resources, representation, and connections. To some, she symbolizes the American dream, a determined woman who built her life from nothing. To others, her story reflects how privilege can smooth paths that remain closed to millions of others. And perhaps that's why it fascinates people still, not because of scandal, but because of contrast. More than 2 decades have passed since Melania received her EB-1 visa. In that time, she's been a model, a businesswoman, a wife, a mother, and a first lady. Yet even now, her immigration story feels like a locked chapter, one that refuses to open fully. Even under the world's brightest spotlight, some call it secrecy, others call it privacy. Whatever the truth, Melania's path reminds us how deeply personal and political immigration stories can become. So, who is Melania Trump in the story of America? A symbol of success or of contradiction? A woman who followed the rules, or one who quietly bent them? The answers may never be completely known, but one thing is certain: her journey from a small Slovenian town to the grand halls of the White House remains one of the most remarkable transformations in modern political history, and somewhere in that journey lies the lesson of every immigrant, that ambition, love, and opportunity can change not just one life, but an entire nation's story. This is Melania Trump's hidden immigration story, one built on dreams and surrounded by secrets.